right, here we are. Righteous Gemstones, season 4, episode 9, better known as the series finale. So this is the end of the show as we know it. So it's been a good 5-year run, 6 years. I think it's been on since 2019. So 6 years. And overall, I've really enjoyed the show. As someone who was raised religious, the show can be pretty hysterical at times. You know, it can take the piss out of religion, but it can also be fair. And there are people out there who use religion to better themselves and have a moral code to follow and stuff like that, while there are also people who use religion for more nefarious purposes, and we see that in the show. So we see both sides of that in the show. So that's what makes the show even better, is that it's not biased towards one side, making fun of one side over the other. Like, all the characters that they're playing are very self-deprecating characters, and they're not really necessarily making fun of people who follow religion, just these specific types of people. With that out of the way, the episode starts with Jesse. He's at that secret church society thing that they have. The Simpkin guy walks up to him, throws a yellow flag down, challenges him to a duel with pistols to the death. Jesse accepts, of course. The main old guy, I don't remember what his name is, but he's like asking for seconds as if this is like Shogun and people are getting executed. So they each get seconds, and Eli agrees to be Jesse's, but Eli also is like, dude, you don't have to do this, like, you can just quit now. He's giving him a whole like confidence boost and being like, he's like, no, you're a good man, you're a fine man without this society, you don't need it and whatnot. They're like ringing the bell for the thing to start, and Jesse's like, it's too late, dad. So they get the pistols. They walk 10 paces away, and then the old dude yells fire, and then they turn. Simpkins shoots first, but he misses by just a fucking, like, not even close. And then Jesse's got the gun on him, and he's like, and the Simpkins like trying to dodge it and shit, and eventually he ends up just being like, he's just like, Jesse, please just spare me. Yeah, Jesse ultimately just goes basically what Eli told him. He's like, yeah, I don't need this club, I don't, whatever. And he just fires his gun off randomly, but it ricochets and shoots someone in the leg. It's just so dumb, but it's just funny. And they're like going to help that guy, and Eli, he's like, when I was a child, he's like, fuck y'all, and he just leaves. He's about to give this like speech to them, and he's just like, screw you guys. So that goes into the intro. The next scene's a little cute, heartfelt scene. Kelvin and Keith, they're in the treehouse. Kelvin ends up proposing to Keith, and he accepts. It's been leading up to that like all series basically. I will say, like, treehouse, like, unless I missed something earlier in the season, they brought up that the treehouse was not like safe or like up to code or something. So all season I was just expecting the treehouse to fall, but it never did. I guess it's better that Keith or Kelvin didn't get killed, because that would have been, you want to have a happy ending for this show. Why would you kill off one of the main characters? It was just interesting with the treehouse. I don't know if that was like a misdirect or they just didn't want to follow through with that. You have BJ and Judy, and they're like taking apart the stripper pole that BJ was using before he had his accident. He's like putting it away. He's like cleaning it. He's just like rubbing it like a shat, just dick jokes, and you know what to expect when I bring up a giant shiny rod and a fucking, okay. BJ ends up telling Judy that he misses Dr. Watson, and like I said last episode, that they're obviously going to bring Dr. Watson back, especially after Judy found out that Dr. Watson's mom died when he was young, just as her mom did. And then later in the episode, Judy ends up taking BJ blindfolded to Dr. Watson's new home. Amber's also there. He sees Dr. Watson just like doing some dishes, and he's working with like an amputee veteran. And at first, Dr. Watson is just giving him the cold shoulder. He's just like, doo-doo-doo-doo. At first it seems like it's like, oh, he's just an animal who does a job. He doesn't remember you or care. But then Judy like gets up in his face, is like giving him this speech about love, and she's like, brings up the fact, she's like, I know you lost your mom when you were young, and you have this like darkness inside of you. I have it also, blah, blah, blah. Giving this like pep talk to the monkey. And I'm like, there's no way he's like taking all that in. But then he just goes back to BJ and just sits on his shoulders, and then they basically just steal that guy's monkey. I'm sure Amber will help the guy get a new animal or something. And also Amber's character, I feel like she kind of doesn't get really much recognition. She's kind of like the anchor like most of the show. She's like the only sane person most of the time. Eli is like a close second, but he can go off the rails sometimes. I feel like Amber is like she's the kind of anchor you would need in a life that like Danny McBride's character has. And just, yeah, her ability to put up with his shenanigans and stuff is just unmatched. So shout out to Amber. Next, this thing will play into later in the episode at the end, but Lori and Eli are talking. She gives them a box with just like various things, and there's a letter in there that Amy Lee wrote to Lori back when they were like separated, like not really talking, and she gives it to Eli and says that he should read it, and hopefully that'll help him out. So he takes that. Next, you got Walton Goggins, aka Baby Billy, aka Teen Just, and he's on set giving this whole speech. You know, there's a lot of monologues this episode, but it's the last episode, so I guess that makes sense. He's talking about how grateful he is to be working and to be alive and stuff like that, and how he was a lot braver than Eli Gemstone at the Gator Park massacre, just, you know, just hyping himself up, just on that high. He's about to, they're filming the scene where he's like on the cross. He's like going up about to film that. He starts having like flashbacks to what Tiff was saying to him about, is work the only thing you care about, and blah 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 blah, stuff like that, you know. And then, you know what, guys, actually I quit. He's like, I don't care if it costs my niece and nephew millions of dollars, but I quit. And then he just leaves. It's the set, and everyone's just like, what the fuck? But I mean, if they're on the crossing, that's like the very end, so I'm sure they'll just have another director come in to finish it and not waste all that money. But that's it's just so funny. That's such a like Baby Billy thing to do. After that, the kids go to Eli. Dad, we are very happy for you that your daddy dick still works, and we want to say that we approve of you dating other women. And I want to say, I don't know how John Goodman like holds it in. Obviously he's a professional actor, but just on set, I want to see the bloopers, because just the things they say, I can only imagine the improv they're doing behind the scenes and just the shit that comes out of their mouths. But anyway, Eli brings up if they've seen Corey or talked to Corey, which Kelvin's like, no, he hasn't been answering. And then Jesse gets the idea that they should invite him to the lake house, so they go to his house to invite him to the lake house. And at the lake house, everyone's dressed up. Lori and Judy are singing a song together. Corey comes down the stairs. He's dressed as Michael Jackson. He does this whole dance number, and it's like in slow motion and shit. Kelvin's like compliments the jacket, and he's like, I'll sell it to you for $7 million. And everyone's like, oh yeah, good one. And he's like, I was kidding about selling you the jacket, but I'm not kidding about the $7 million. And everyone's like, what? And Corey says that the bank is going to sell the Gator Park, and it costs $7 million. So he wants the Gemstones to give him $7 million so he can buy the Gator Park. And he brings up, he's like, well, I killed my own daddy to save their daddy, so the least they could do is give me the $7 million. And of course they're all like, no. And Lori's like, you know, this is rude, Corey, you can't do this. Jana is trying to say like, you know, this is going to be a loan, not a handout. And Corey just blows up on her. He's like, shut the fuck up and let me do this and whatnot. And she's like, I want a divorce, and she leaves. I noticed a funny thing during this scene when all this shit's going down, like Pontius is in the back. He's just like he's got like Gideon's next to him. He's got his arm around Gideon. He's just like so casual about it, and it's just so funny that I didn't notice until my like second go around looking through the scenes. I just thought that was funny. He's just like, yeah, this is fucking funny. I feel like that would be me too when I was younger, if stuff like that was going down. All right, so from here is when the show kind of gets, you know, crazy, a little darker, you know, as it usually does. And the main three, they take Corey to go play cornhole to try to defuse the situation. Jesse and Judy are making fun of Kelvin for having chocolate on his shirt, calling him doo-doo boy and shit. Kelvin goes inside. When he's walking around, he sees Amy Lee, his mom, like a ghost of her down the hall. She's like calling him, and he goes into the room where she's standing next to him. He finds a bag. It's Corey's room. He finds a bag, and it's got Eli's golden Bible, and it's got a gun. He puts the Bible on his back of his pants, and Corey walks in, and he manages to squirm his way out. He goes back to Jesse and Judy, brings up the Bible, says that there might be something wrong. Corey comes out, says reveals that Cobb stole the Bible and that it was given to him. He doesn't want it anymore because he used to read it all the time. Corey also tells us that he used to help his dad with the ex-boyfriends club, which is basically every past present person who is dating Lori. They were like, at first they just go up to them and start jumping them and beating the shit out of them. One of the guys they showed, he just shoots him because he jumps out the back of his truck. Corey eventually is the one who like sedates Big Dick Mitch, and then they capture him. So yeah, Corey's definitely got a lot of fucked up shit going on in his head, and he ends up leaving back to the house. The main three are wondering if they should tell somebody, but they're like, nah, we gotta do something about this ourselves. And they go back inside, and immediately bullets start flying. Judy gets hit. She goes down. Kelvin and Jesse hit the ground and start, running away. Kelvin goes into this room. He like takes these boxes from under the bed and throws them around to throw Corey off. But it turns out he's hiding behind the curtain. He's an idiot. And he opens the curtain. He goes, ah! ah, before he's even running, and Corey just turns around and just shoots him, and I'm like, bro, you're a fucking idiot. Like, that was so dumb. Like, that was kind of annoying. Corey goes into this other room, and Jesse's like in this closet, and he like shoots through the door, and Jesse falls out, and he puts the gun to his head, but he runs out of ammo, and Corey's like, all right, I got something better for you, Jesse, and he leaves. And while he's gone doing that, the three of them manage to crawl across the floor and just smear their blood everywhere. Like, this scene is just ridiculous, the amount of blood they're spilling everywhere. But, you know, it's a fucking comedy, you know, they're not gonna actually die. Crawling on the floor, they meet up. He has the idea to call Dr. Watson, and Jesse's like, go get my men's everyday carrying bag, or whatever he called it. And Judy's like, call it a purse, he's not gonna know what that is. And he's like, it's not a purse. And Judy goes, Dr. Watson, go get Jesse's purse. And he comes back with the bag, of course, the right one. And they get the gun. Corey walks in, he gets the shot off in time. Corey gets shot in the head, but it doesn't go through, so he like stumbles and falls over. But when they crawl over to him, he just got blood squirting out like one side of his head, but it's like a lot, so it's like he's gone. But he asks to pray with them, and they pray over him and before he dies, so it's like a nice send off for Corey, you know, how fucked up his life was. And then the final scene is Keith and Kelvin. It's their wedding, and it's a nice celebration. It's like a, you know, the wedding kind of mirrors the ending. It's very like melancholic, you know. Eli, he's also reading the letter. Amy Lee's doing like a voiceover, basically saying how her love is eternal, how it's always going to be there, just like God. And anytime they need her, she'll always be there. And her monologue takes us through to the end of the episode and the end of the show. I think overall it's a pretty nice ending. I was confused because last week HBO sent out an email saying that was the last episode, but they sent a correction one being like, just kidding. And I was so confused. I was like, that's the end? But I was like, there's no way. And then of course this episode came out, so thank God, no pun intended. So overall, did y'all like the show? Do you like Danny McBride shows in general? You know, I'm excited to see what him and his crew do next, because it's always a good time. What was your favorite season? Comment down and let me know. What was your favorite cameo? You know, I liked when Eric Andre was on the show. That was pretty funny. The show overall, if I had to give it like a rating, I guess I'd probably give the show like a 3.8 out of 5. I can't quite get it to like a 4, you know. I really enjoyed it overall as a whole. So yeah, let me know down below your thoughts. Hit the like button, subscribe. Peace.